Hi to everyone. My name is Stefan Schmitt, and I work for Blockdaemon. Blockdaemon, you can see it. Our slogan is "We know nodes," and so you know exactly what I'm going to talk about nodes, about blockchain infrastructure. And just to understand, we come from the US, and we look at the European market because we think it's really fascinating what is happening here. And actually, I myself, I've been living in Frankfurt for the last 6-7 years. I have been to every crypto assets conference. And I think it's really astonishing to see how now, today, we have a great mix of startups and traditional financial institutions, and to always see how they progress year by year by year, and yeah, how the blockchain ecosystem here is developing. So Europe is really interesting for us, and furthermore, I believe now we come to a point of maturity where companies are raising Series A's and really develop their use case, get more professional. And I think right now is the perfect time to ask yourself the question, should I really manage my own node infrastructure, or should I think about outsourcing? And so really, the main question I want to answer is, why should you consider outsourcing a node infrastructure? And first, I want to give you a quick introduction about who we are, about what Blockdaemon does, but then really talk about this question, and also talk about why a lot of people think that there is no need because they have done it in the past. Why should they not do it now? But I think to really elevate your business to the next level, node infrastructure is a critical point that you should think about. So Blockdaemon in a nutshell, as you can see, we do 3 things. We started with blockchain infrastructure with nodes as a service. Right now we are covering more than 20 protocols. I believe we are probably more in the 35 to 40. These 20 protocols are some that you could get through our marketplace and deploy, I believe, within 6 or 7 mouse clicks. And for example, especially for the people at home, you could try it out right now for Bitcoin. It's actually for free, a shared node. It's really, really easy. And so these 20+ protocols we have really automated. For us, it's just a commodity, and it's really convenient and easy to use for you. And apart from that, we've been founded in 2017. We have thousands of nodes deployed. Full nodes, actually. We have more than 10,000 users, so what we can say is we have a lot of experience when it comes to nodes, when it comes to infrastructure, and we also have really strong ties to the community, which means in all major protocols you will see right now, especially these proof-of-stake protocols now hitting mainnet, chances are extremely high that we are actually one of the first people in these networks to run nodes. We have years of experience there. And the problems that you are going to run in now, should you add them to your business, are most likely problems that we have long solved or have experience in how to solve. And the next 3 points, really the high performance, high security, and 24/7 support. This is just what we stand for. We have higher standards. They are backed up by SLAs. And it's our purpose to deliver the best service to you, so you don't have to worry about infrastructure anymore. You can entrust someone else with it. Best case us. And obviously, when we talk about nodes, we come to staking. Many proof-of-stake networks, as said, currently hit mainnet, and obviously we support these as well, especially the ones obviously we think that are really interesting. Think of Polkadot, Celo, Oasis, and other protocols like that. And currently there are 17 supported. Again, you can see it on the website, which these are. And I feel like every week or every other week we add a new protocol to our offering. And also here we have the highest performance standards. Actually, we look more at institutional investors for this offering. So funds, asset managers, high net worth individuals that want to run their own validators. And obviously, we also not only run validators for them, but also ourselves, and you could also just stake to them and have the same performance, and also insurance, for example, when it comes to slashing. Yeah, and so really when it comes to staking, obviously we say it's about maximizing uptime and yields for you and also eliminating the risk. So there's no slashing risk. We'll cover you if slashing should occur. But as of now, we didn't have any problems with that. And I think you can see that it somehow works for the validators that we are running. We currently, and for quite some time now, have over $1 billion of token value staked to these validators. And then lastly, Ubiquity. Ubiquity is our very own data API. Currently for just 4 protocols, but it will grow in the future as well. The protocols we cover are Ethereum, Bitcoin, Stellar, and Ripple. And if you are in the space a little longer or thought about extracting data from these protocols, you will be well aware that these are really old protocols and running a full archive node so that you could get access to all the historical data, but also a node that is really fast so that you get a mempool and transaction pool data is complicated and most of the time pretty expensive as well. And so we developed an API that is comparably cheap, really fast, stable, and I think yeah, for everyone who looks at data a lot, just an interesting thing. And for that, we are currently in the pilot program. So if this is something that might be interesting to you, let me know. And yeah, maybe a few reasons why we believe that the German market is really interesting, and not only the German, but the European market. And there you see 3 news that I decided to pick up. The first is in 2019, so more or less a year ago in September, the German government decided to commit to a blockchain strategy. And I think this was really a strong signal for the whole ecosystem and financial institutions joining. Then, as you will be well aware, as we have the custody day today, we have custody regulation, meaning custody of digital assets or crypto assets is now a financial service that is licensed by BaFin. I think this regulatory framework really elevated the space as well, and now pretty recently we have the markets in crypto assets regulation proposal by the European Commission. And I think at least now we can say when it comes to regulation, setting market standards, and giving certainty, Europe and Germany, I believe, are front-running in the world, and so this is a really interesting market that we want to support. And the second part, obviously, is the fascinating companies that grow every year and really push blockchain to its limits. And I was super lazy here, actually, because they have 2 things in common. First, all of them are here. Physically or online, and the second is most of them, not all, build their use case on blockchain. And this leads me to the question, so all these people have to do with blockchain. Many of them run their own infrastructure. So why outsource your node infrastructure? And I think there are 3 reasons people usually give me, or in reality just 2, why they think they should do it themselves. The first is they go to their customers who trust them because they have a great value proposition, because they seem trustworthy, and say, hey, with us, everything comes out of one hand. For example, an exchange or custodian, if you go with us, we do everything, you trust us with the architecture. And the second reason, and I think these are usually the tech guys that actually maintain the infrastructure, they think, when I do it, I'm sure it's done best. I don't want to trust anyone else, because then the service could be worse. And I think, actually, these 2 statements are something that you should think about, because I would challenge them and say it's probably not right. If you trust someone who really has a lot of experience in this field, most likely your product will be even better. And the third reason, and I think this is why a lot of people actually do it, especially startups, is that when they start their business, they don't really have a lot of funds. And so the one who has the most tech knowledge will just run the first node. They push their product to the MVP. And at that point, performance, 99.9% uptime, this isn't super important, but it will get. And so as all these companies, as your businesses grow and mature, it might be the appropriate time to think about if you can really maintain your node infrastructure the best, if this is cost effective, or if you maybe need a trustworthy partner. And so I want to show you several statements. The first is that many businesses build their value proposition on blockchain, and they also need to run nodes as an enabler. And we have seen some logos. I have also prepared some categories here. For example, exchanges allow trading of assets, right? They need a connection to the markets. Custodians store these assets that you bought through the exchange. Most, if not all of them, run their own nodes. And the list goes on and on and on. We talked about asset managers when it comes to staking, data providers, data analysts, people that do high-frequency trading. They also need their own nodes to get the data. They might have different requirements. For example, for them, it might be more speed than uptime. But what all of these have in common is they run nodes not because it's their main business, but because they need to, or in other words, it enables their business. So whoever you are, your business might be, maybe you are a custodian, an exchange, whatever, right? You use blockchain to provide value, and you have to realize that this is your core business, and the node infrastructure that you might running and maintaining right now is just an enabler. Obviously, this means it's still a core component and a really important part. But there is also a lot of buts when it comes to maintaining your own infrastructure, because we all know blockchain comes with high requirements, both from a technological side as well as from your customers probably. Because I think everyone is always out to build the very best product, right? Want to be the best. And customers choose your business because they believe that actually in what you do, you are one of the best, or at least the best fit for what they need. And now that we see, especially with the regulations and everything I talked about, we now see suddenly banks entering the market. And obviously, they are used to certified partners. They have really high requirements when it comes to uptime, to security, to insurance, all that. And so we can see that over time, as the business matures, as you add maybe more nodes to your network, the requirements go up. Which first means you will have more cost. If you want to up your performance and uptime, maybe you need to hire someone who does this full-time. If you are an exchange or a custodian, you start with Bitcoin and Ethereum, right, like everyone else, but now suddenly you are supporting 20 protocols and you realize, oh, and now I'm running my own engineering team that does nothing else but maintaining nodes. And this is a big cost driver, and leading to the consequence that at some point, having higher requirements from clients or to yourself, as well as always scaling up and adding new protocols, will increase your cost. And I think, which is even more important, it will divert your focus, it will divert resources from what actually your core business is to something that is not, to running infrastructure. And this is exactly where we come in. So we have now realized businesses need to run their nodes. The nodes are the enabler. And if you maintain your own infrastructure, you'd really focus on something you shouldn't. Because what we say, right, our slogan is, we know nodes. This is really our business. Blockchain infrastructure, this is what we do. And you should focus and put as much money, focus, and time as you can on your real core business model. And I want to give you some reasons why. So first, our mission really is, obviously as an infrastructure provider, we want to be the backbone of a decentralized ecosystem, economy, and we want to enable you to free your resources and focus on what is important to you and not on something that is just an enabler. We have highest performance and security standards, as I already said, and just to give you some context here, we work with some of the biggest companies in the space, for example, with Coinbase, with Anchorage, and guys like these, they don't just run one node, they might need to run 10 nodes for just one network to get through thousands of transactions every second to make sure that this network never goes down, with load balancing, high availability clusters, geo-dispersion, everything. And everything of that is backed by SLAs, so I would say more or less whatever you want, or however high your requirements are, there's always a possibility to get that done, and we also have the experience to do it. I've talked about this one as well. As said, for many foundations for many protocols. We know the core developers. We are working with them for quite some time, and this just gives us the experience. I've been talking to a lot of, especially smaller companies here in Germany, and whenever they decide to add a new protocol into their offering, most of the time they, at that point, start building the experience, and this is experience we have been building for years. We also offer 24/7 support. And I think what's really important to note here is that our engineers and our support team are not just in one country. We are a US-based company, but we are there on the East Coast, West Coast, in South America, but we also have a pretty big team here in Ireland, and actually one developer who is in Germany as well. And so this way, more or less, when something should go wrong, the chance is really high that someone is online. And also, we are, I would say, around 20 people, and most of them are engineers and developers. So I'm the outlier here. I'm one of the people who isn't in charge of making sure that the nodes run how they are supposed to be. And I think this is a pretty huge advantage as well, because really think about it. If you were to add 20 protocols, right? I said we support 30, 40 maybe. If you want to support 20 protocols, you probably need to have half the team size that we have. And I think most companies cannot afford it or should really focus the resources on something else. Because if you really want to deliver the best service possible, just one engineer doing this part-time won't suffice. I talked about it as well, especially now that banks enter the market and we have to look at BaFin and other regulating bodies when it comes to outsourcing of maybe core infrastructure. How does that work? We are currently ISO 27001 compliant, which is for IT security. Actually, we're going through certification right now, so I believe we are a partner that you can trust, and also that your clients will trust, especially if they come out of an already pretty regulated world. And I come to the last point now. We are backed by corporate and tech VCs. Actually, some of them are investors as well. And for example, on the corporate side, you have companies like Comcast. On the other side, companies like Fumbushi or others. And I think it's a pretty great mix. And this venture capital money also gives us a really long-term vision. We are not driven by profits that we have to make today, but we really have the time to commit to long-term relationships, to commit to protocols and support them, even if they maybe don't bring profits right now. And so I already saw the time. I will finish up really quickly. I will skip the next slides, but here you can see some of the protocols. Really what I wanted to talk about as well is the custodial integration, monitoring, high availability clustering, or global load balancing. I think especially the bottom two are topics that we get contacted about, I would say at least 2-3 times a week now. So this is where things are heading. And yeah, I talked more or less about everything here, the reasons why. And this is something that you could visit, blockdaemon.com/de for Germany, even if you're not German. The website is really new. We are adding contents constantly, especially case studies. And most importantly, if you scroll down, you have a really easy way to send me an email or schedule a call, because I would be really, really happy to learn more about you and hopefully help you solve your infrastructure headaches and provide a good solution to grow together. Thank you very much.